Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a pretty wild theory about where one of the most powerful financial institutions in the world really came from.
You ever get that feeling? You're working harder, but your money just doesn't seem to go as far? Well, the source material we're looking at today suggests there's a very specific, almost mechanical reason for that. It argues this isn't just bad luck, it's by design.
So, this idea that you're running on a financial treadmill, just trying to keep up, according to this theory, that's no accident. It's actually the result of a system that was put in place more than 100 years ago.
All right, let's dive into it. The theory we're unpacking today comes from the work of a researcher named G. Edward Griffin, and he claims, based on his reading of historical documents and testimonies, that a massive deception was pulled off. And the craziest part? It's all supposedly hiding in plain sight.
So, where does this story even begin? Well, according to Griffin's research, it doesn't start in some grand government building. Nope, it starts with a super secret meeting on a remote, private island.
Picture this. It's November 1910. A powerful politician, Senator Nelson Aldrich, gets his private railroad car ready. He's not alone, though. He's joined by 6 of the most powerful financiers on the planet, and they're all heading to a secret destination, a place called Jekyll Island, just off the coast of Georgia.
And when we say secret, we mean secret. These guys arrived one by one, they didn't even eat dinner together, and they only used their first names to keep their identities under wraps. Get this, one of them, a guy who had apparently never even fired a gun in his life, carried a shotgun around just to sell a cover story about a duck hunting trip. That's how serious this was.
So why all the cloak and dagger stuff? I mean, really? Well, according to the source material, one of the men who was there later admitted that if the American public knew that this group of guys had written the banking bill, it would have had no chance whatever of passage by Congress. Whoa.
Now, you might think these guys were all best buds, right? Not a chance. This group was made up of the biggest, baddest competitors in finance, both in America and around the world. I mean, we're talking about the heavy hitters here. Representatives for the Rockefellers, the Morgans, Kuhn Loeb & Co., the Rothschilds, the Warburgs, you name it. These families had been fighting each other for financial dominance for years. So the big question is, what on earth could bring these sworn rivals together at the same secret table? The argument from the source is pretty simple. They wanted to form a cartel. Stop fighting with each other and instead team up. The plan? Work together in partnership with the government to control the whole financial system and basically guarantee their profits. Okay, but how do you sell that idea to the public, especially to a Congress that was already super wary of big banks having too much power? Well, the source claims the answer was just brilliant marketing. The name itself, the Federal Reserve System, was supposedly a work of genius. Think about it. Federal makes it sound official, like it's part of the government. Reserve makes you feel safe, like there's a big pile of money backing everything up. And system, that makes it sound decentralized, like power is spread out all over the country. But according to this theory, that name was designed to hide what it really was, a centralized power hub controlled by private bankers. Okay, so that's the setup. But how does this thing actually work? Let's get into the mechanics of how, according to this theory, the whole system is designed to make money. All right, it all starts when the government needs cash. It goes to the central bank. So let's say a postal worker gets a $100 paycheck from the government and deposits it in his bank. Now, because of something called fractional reserve banking, the bank only has to keep a small piece of that, let's say 10%, so $10. Here's the wild part. The bank can then loan out the other $90. And according to this theory, that $90 isn't from the original deposit, it's brand new money, literally created out of thin air the second the loan is made. And this is where it really gets crazy. That new $90 loan, it gets deposited in someone else's bank account. That bank keeps 10%, $9, and loans out the other $81. And the cycle just keeps going and going. In the end, that single $100 deposit can allow the entire banking system to create up to $900 in new loans. But here's the real kicker, according to this theory. Even though all this new money was basically just created as an entry on a computer, the banks get to charge real interest on it. The source has a pretty blunt term for this: interest on nothing. Okay, that's a lot of theory. But what does any of this actually mean for you, for your wallet? Why should you care? Let's connect the dots. The source we're looking at uses a really great analogy. Imagine you have a big pot of soup.
Now, what happens when billions of these newly created dollars get pumped into the economy? It's like someone keeps pouring plain water into your soup. Sure, there's more soup now, but every single spoonful is more watery, less flavorful, it's diluted. And that's basically what inflation is. It isn't really that prices for things are going up, it's that the value, the purchasing power of your dollar is going down.
And that is why saving money can feel like you're just running in place. The number in your bank account might look the same, but what it can actually buy keeps shrinking. The cost of living just keeps climbing because, well, the soup keeps getting more and more diluted.
So, does this hit everybody the same way? The source argues absolutely not. Think about it. The people who get their hands on that new money first, we're talking the government, big government contractors, the banks, the first people to get those loans, they get to spend it while it still has its full value. They get to enjoy the rich, flavorful soup before all the water gets poured in and prices go up for the rest of us.
So, when you boil it all down, this theory concludes there are two main winners. The two partners who allegedly cooked up the system in the first place. The government gets an almost unlimited source of cash to fund whatever it wants. And the banking cartel? Well, they rake in the profits from all the interest charged on that new money. And the source claims they win no matter what. When the economy's good, they collect interest. When it's bad, they collect the real stuff, the houses, the cars, the businesses that people put up as collateral.
Now, as always, the goal here isn't to tell you what to think. It's to lay out the arguments from this particular source, to show you one theory about the hidden rules of a game that impacts every single one of us. So it leaves us with a pretty big question, right? If these are the alleged rules of the game, how do you choose to play?